might not be waking up really early in the morning and getting like 3 hours of work done before I start the day, each day. But I'm starting to reap the benefits of like always waking up at the same time and going to bed at more or less the same time every night. Energized, I feel eager. I may be burning most of that energy at work, so not on my own stuff, but at work, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Speaking of which, this week I have 3 more days before my boss comes back from holiday, which means I have 3 more days to disrupt shit before I have to start asking for permission again. So I've been, for the past couple of days, week or so, I've been making as many bold decisions as I possibly can, because asking for forgiveness is always better than permission. So I smashed in mass transit last time I was here, and I'm going to add in Mongo today, so whew, living the dream. But yeah, we're spinning up microservices, we're having fun. It's going to be a head down, sort shit out day to day, with the exception of the deployment pipeline, which I'm hoping to get finished by the end of tomorrow. There's quite a few like odd things coming up that's going to steal my time away, but I reckon I can get a lot done, you know? It's me, I can always get a lot done. Oh, what a stressful day that is. On a bloody hell, blue fucking dust in my eyes, man, my lord. Yeah, on a day where I just wanted to like sit down and just churn out some code, sitting with our infrastructure guy, it's really windy, I apologise. Trying to get deployments. There's a guy in the operations team. It's just a day of like explaining what I want and how I've done it so far, and then him going off and doing some stuff, and then just sitting with him and just like trying to get this thing working. And it's interesting because I'm learning a bit about like Kubernetes, but it's just like politics. It's just pure politics all all day. That's all I've been doing basically, just been playing politics. Fucking bin gate, ladies and gentlemen. Come home. How good does this room look, by the way? Oh, god damn, I'm still not used to it. Came home, our bins aren't outside. We've got the black bin, that's fine. We've got the paper bin. We also have a green bin, which is cardboards, and a food bin. The green one and the food bin, gone. Can't see them anywhere. Come inside. I checked next door and checked the one next door, and I'm like, I can't see them anywhere. I don't recognise them. Because they don't have like numbers on or anything like that. But ours does have a crack in it, which annoys me because I feel like bin men should be more careful not to break them. But I also appreciate that they have to pick up a lot of them, and accidents happen. But I feel like they should just be more careful with things that other people have. But hey, anyway, I look out the window and I can see the green bin with a crack in next door's garden, stacked in another green bin. And I'm like, that looks like ours, that looks like our crack. And then someone comes out of next door, not next door, and puts a food bin over the wall next door. And I'm like, that looks like our food bin. What looks like it's happened is that guy's come home, just put all the bins in his garden, or their garden, for no apparent reason. And now I'm here, and I hate it, because I can see them, and I need to get them back, and I hate this. I hate doing this. I am the kind of person that if I go snooker with my snooker cue, and I put my snooker cue down, and some random person picks up that snooker cue, I let them use it, and let them finish using it, and then I take it back at the end. Because I hate that. I hate, like, I just can't stand going up to people and being like, hey, I think that's mine. I don't know what it is. Oh, but I hate it about myself. I just had to psych myself up to go outside and just take the bins back. And I'm telling Laura, like, I need to do a gram of coke before I can fucking pull this off. But I did it. I'm proud of myself. I feel like I've just done like some kind of heist or something. But, God. Yeah, I feel like I did, like, something happened at a young age where I've like just terrified of that kind of shit. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is about that. Like, I'll happily tell people about. It's the fact that they could just be looking outside and I'm just going to walk up and just take one of their bins, or what they think is one of their bins, or I'm just going to walk into their garden and take something from it. They don't know what. Oh, it stresses me out. Anyway, back to work. Like what I was saying about politics and stuff. So while my boss has been away, I've been making as many decisions as I can, just churning through stuff as fast as I can, because it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. And I'm just whacking in, like, I've whacked in mass transit, I've done the completely new build pipeline into the proof of concept environment. I've just done a load of new stuff, and they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, this is all cool. But if I'd have gone to him with a list of all the things I wanted to do, he would have said no. You know what I mean? But if I just do them and it doesn't sound and it doesn't look like as much as it is really once it's done, then if I go with a laundry list, then I don't get it. Now the problem is today I'm working with the deployments with operations. A guy in operations who, just for context, he said to me that C# isn't enterprise ready compared to Java, and I'm like, okay, sorry buddy, but okay. Just like, why? What are you talking about, buddy? Like, what the frick are you talking about, man? But it's weird how, like, there are pockets of the internet, effectively, that they just kind of forget all of this stuff exists outside of their little pocket. Like, god damn it. Like, people who think that Java is open source and that C# isn't, and they're just, like, flat out wrong. It's literally the opposite. But no, by the way, that's the kind of person I'm working with, though, just for context. So I'm working with him to get this thing up, and he wants a couple of things. He wants to put things in Kubernetes and some stuff around the edges there. But then he has opinions on things, which so basically there's like the company way of doing things, there's what I'm trying to do, there's what he's trying to do. Now there's some of the stuff he wants to do, I want to do as well, but some of the stuff, so I'm like, I want to let him do that stuff, but there's some things that I want. So I want to take ownership of deployments, but I don't have ownership of the infrastructure. So I effectively, I need to use him to get the infrastructure up and running, and then I can just deploy to it myself, you know? Conceptually, I think the deployments should be in, like, I want to use Bitbucket's pipelines to do it in. I think that's just a conceptually better idea, but that's just an example. So that's one of the things that I want to do. There's also things I want to do that he doesn't want to do, or he doesn't think we have time for. And I'm just like, politically picking my battles, being like, okay, I think I can push him down this route here. I think I can push him down this route here. He wants this thing, I need to just veto that because it's never going to happen. And then you've got to pick which ones you fight against, pick which ones you allow, and pick which ones you're like, I can come to that later. So he was like, we're not going to go with NoSQL yet. I don't think we've got time, we've got to focus on this thing. I'm like, right, okay. As soon as that thing's out of the way then, that means we can go to NoSQL, right? So the code I'm developing for Mongo. I'm going to develop for Mongo literally until the last minute. The last minute where we go, right, we don't have time to go to Mongo, in which case I'll just flick a fucking NuGet package out in DI, and then bang, we're in fucking SQL world, and I'll concede. But it does not need to be a SQL database, and I'm going to continue to fight that fight every fucking day. But I'm not fighting it now with him, I'm going to fight it later. It's just like this weird political kind of thing, which I hate about not being in control, where like you have to concede things that you don't want to concede just because you want other things as well. And it's like I say, if I had this big old laundry list of things, all of them would just get a big no. But if I can just like chip them one by one and just like kind of chip down the list, then eventually you'll get everything you want. Well, it's something about, listening to a podcast, about like boiling a frog. If you chuck a frog into boiling water, it's going to jump out. But if you slowly heat it up, eventually it'll cook itself, you know? That's what I'm trying to do with the build and deployment pipeline. So I'm trying to slowly kick up the heat on it until all of a sudden it's mine, and I own it, and I deploy to live. That's what I want. It seems to be like consistent on the fact that live and test are different. I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Over my fucking dead body is test different to prod. Like, literally the only difference should be the price of the infrastructure we're running on. Like, you run it on meatier computers and more of them. But effectively, we prove the concept. If you have 10 servers over there in prod, cool beans. We want at least 2. And we want them at least distributed the same way out, and all that kind of shit. But that's one of the sticking points I'm currently trying to fight for. I'm at the moment conceding ownership of deployments for that. But then tomorrow, or eventually, I'm going to just convert everything he's got into Bitbucket pipelines and just be like, hey, look how easy that is. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating as well. And I'm sat on his computer, because I don't have a laptop. I'm sat on his computer, I know he could just sit on my computer, but he's got all the permissions and logins and all that kind of stuff. And my brain seems to work a lot quicker than a lot of other people's, and he's the kind of person who will read like kind of everything on a page, on a web page, even though a lot of it is quite blatantly irrelevant for what we're doing. And granted, that has got me in hot water before. Not hot water, but I've skipped things and then spent time trying to figure out what it is I went wrong, but actually I missed something because I skimmed past it. But some things are just, you don't need to read. Like, this is broken, it's one of these three, let's just fucking do all three and just figure it out. Like, god damn it. That's made worse by the fact that .NET is effectively .NET and C# applications are effectively like a second-class citizen in Google world, where they just don't have the right amount of documentation that everyone has for all the other languages that they support. It's such an afterthought for them. Because they were like, oh yeah, shit, turns out a lot of people do C# stuff. But I feel like they don't put enough effort into it because they know that if you're in that world, you're just going to go to Microsoft anyway. Because the tooling is already way better, so they may as well try and, like, they're trying to make it so the same tooling can be applied for multiple languages, and that's fine, so does Azure. But for C# stuff, and for everything in Azure, the tooling is much better. But people don't like Azure because it's Microsoft, and then therefore don't know of Microsoft's dope-ass tooling. Hashtag sponsor. On a serious note, Microsoft, if you're watching, if you want to sprinkle some of your advertiser money on me, I'll advertise every fucking day of the week. If you want to give me some of your that money you spend on podcast adverts for Azure, just fucking sling a couple £100 my way. I'll sort it out for you, fam. I'll fucking more than happily do some shit around that stuff. My days. Otherwise, in the brief period of time that I was doing some programming, I've noticed that like the API is a little bit jimmied. I'm trying to make it now so you basically like effectively get a quote and then you go, yeah, I'll have that quote. So I'm now doing that, yeah, I'll have that thing. And then because I'm doing that, I'm making some changes to the API part. And I've added in Mongo. And the one frustrating thing about Mongo is that there doesn't seem to be an easy way to like kind of load an in-memory version of it. Like you can in-memory SQL. Which is annoying, because I wanted to do that for my... one of the biggest problems with the C# drivers in Mongo are they're a bitch to test. Like, you can't unit test them, you just have to run them against the Mongo cluster. But then, so you mock them out of the unit tests, but I have integration tests. I have integration tests where I can control the dependencies that I load. So for SQL, I would load an in-memory SQL database and just be like, there you go. But for Mongo, that's just like not an option. So I'm kind of at the same point where I'm just mocking out the repository, and I'm using repositories because at the moment it's Mongo, and at some point in the future it's probably going to have to be SQL, but hopefully not. Back from shopping. It's really good how you can, you know the scanning thing you do? So you walk around with this little scanner, you scan it, you bag it, and then you just go to the checkout and scan your scanner basically, and then you just pay and it like transfers everything you scan to it. It's really cool. And the best thing about that is when you're on your own, you can just bag as you go around rather than having to like feel bad for being slow feeding up the belt or putting all this stuff into your bags at the end when there's a person there just bipping everything through. It's so much better. Otherwise, I'm back and I'm looking at my thing that I've got to do. So I need to create a webhook in Azure Functions. That's one thing I need to do. And then I need to make the front end pass the data that it needs to pass through to kick off this process, basically. And I'm trying to figure out where to start with that, because I can do stuff on my laptop, and I'm trying to get to the point where, like, basically, if I'm at home, I'm working on this. So I'm trying to be a lot more like basically just constantly. I've got a laptop in front of me. I'm just churning shit out. If I'm watching TV, I'm just churning shit out, and that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to do as much as I possibly can on the laptop. So I feel like I should do the functions on the laptop, because running everything else is a bit heavy for the laptop to do quickly. Like, you just feel the pain a little bit more. But I also really want to do that, so should I do that now on the laptop? But I should be using my laptop to write blogs. God damn it, it's hard. I'm trying to figure out how to balance everything out as well. I need to do vlogs as well. To MTV, yes, the camera. And I have a backlog. I have too much to do, too little time. I don't want to get more time. In my defence, it is a Monday, and Mondays are the worst day for stuff anyway. So I'm going to catch up on vlogs up until the point where Laura calls me downstairs because she's finished working, and then I will work on my laptop on whichever I feel the most willing to. I think I'll probably do function stuff, but only because then I can download all the NuGet packages I need to do, and then in theory I can just program it at work without internet. Oh, well, this is not being productive, has it? So, not at all. I did schedule 2 videos, but that's about it. Home after a very long day today. Very long day. I spent the morning writing readmes and making sure that people were able to run the new microservice on their machines, despite the fact, because I've now got dependencies. Previously I only had one dependency which they all had access to, but now there's 2 dependencies that they need to run locally, so they need to run their own instances of RabbitMQ and their own currently Mongo database, but we'll see if that's permanently a Mongo database. I did that very briefly this morning. Then we did a deployment of the previous project to live, and we had some minor database problems, which we then spent the entire day trying to fix. It was like, right, this has happened. Diagnose it. That's happened. Okay. These are our 3 options. Worst case scenario, best case scenario. Best case scenario, not going to happen. Middle tier scenario, what do we fix? And it was just like back and forth. It's one of them problems where, like, that's where you bond with people. where you're working so closely with someone else to just try and make it work. And we got there in the end. But we got there with literally 5 minutes to spare on the end of the day, which is fortunate. But yeah, it was a bit close to the wire. I believe what happened was we generated entity framework migration scripts. One of which. So the idea of those scripts is you can make them so that you can run them multiple times and they won't run if they've already ran. However, the database person just kind of ignored the bits that were checking whether or not it had ran, and I believe one of the scripts wiped one of the columns of IDs, and then we had to basically use a backup table from a database and then infer a load of information from another database that wasn't in any way, shape or form connected. It was a hoot. It was an absolute hoot. It basically meant I got nothing done today. Nothing done programming wise today. But it's been fun. Otherwise, I'm home. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going to start cooking dinner. Got to cook. It's batch week. We've ran out of frozen batches, so we're having a week of batches to batch ourselves back up again. It's a curry batch. I'm going to cook it from scratch and then put it to simmer until I find out that Laura's left, and then it's just a case of doing the rice. So it's effectively, as far as she's concerned, the same as a normal meal, because she's got coursework and stuff to do. Something I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get back used to being productive with like to-do lists and things like that. So I used to be really good at doing to-do lists and then just like chipping through them all. And I've stopped doing that now. And I had 3 things on my list to do today. The first of which I did, but the second one of which I didn't do. And yes, they're like time done, so I needed to do them. They're time sensitive, so I had to do them at work, which is just sending a text message. Literally, one of them is just sending a text message, and I didn't do it. And I need to get into like being productive more. So I'm trying to I've downloaded a couple of apps to see if I can like get into like routines and like set habits back up effectively. Right, let's have a drink, let's get cooking. 7 o'clock, dinner's finished, dinner's eaten, done all the washing up and all that kind of shit. It's time to get some work done, boy. Something that I've realised, right, so, obviously I bought this, flash your minds back ladies and gentlemen, I bought this new keyboard to replace my old keyboard. My old keyboard was a Logitech one where it was like a full keyboard, but here there's a big touchpad. I wanted a number pad back, so I either wanted a number pad or it not to be so wide, basically. So that was one of the criteria when I bought this keyboard. Love this keyboard, it's great. 2 downsides to this problem. Firstly is that I still have my Logitech keyboard at work. And the key layout is slightly different, like the delete key is in a different place because the other one is like kind of a bit more condensed. So I keep pressing print screen when I mean to press delete. That's annoying. And there's some other things where like it's just slightly differently laid out, so my muscle memory like gets the wrong punctuation every now and again. But the most annoying thing is I've now started to realise how much I used to use that touchpad. I didn't think I used it at all, so I didn't think I would have been sad to lose it, basically. But it's so annoying having to scroll through blog posts or documentation with a mouse scroll. It's so irritating. I just want to be able to just like brush down it, you know. God damn. One of the things I've been looking up recently is how to host. So you may remember I was doing I've managed to create startups where you can mock out different things so that you can have in-memory versions of databases and all that kind of stuff. But what it doesn't. So in theory, instead of loading up the microservice in real life and deploying it to a real environment with real dependencies, you mock out third-party API calls so that you don't have to actually make a call to that third party, or more importantly, that third party doesn't have to be there in order to test whether or not that thing works. Likewise, message buses. You can spin up an instance of the message bus in memory so that you don't have to have a RabbitMQ and you are completely isolated, and then you can just burn it all down again. Now, one of the things I was trying to get that working for was MongoDB. Because SQL, you can have an in-memory SQL database using Entity Framework, I believe. But there doesn't seem to be one. There's something similar called Mongo2Go, which allows you to effectively load one onto your computer and then burn it down, but you are still bringing up an instance on your machine, and that's not quite what I wanted. My problem being that I need to be able to lift this and run it everywhere. I need to be able to run it in on deployments and builds, and I need to be able to run it on Macs and Linux and Windows, and it just starts to be a bit of a faff, you know. There just isn't one in Mongo, and it really irritates me. God damn. So that was fun. What I did was I hooked up the API gateway into the repository service, and then like pumped a message through and watched it fail. And I was like, okay, this is the first time I'd pumped a message through. And I was going to do it from the UI, but I'm like, I need to set up the automation script things from the API gateway. I pumped it through there, and then spent about 2.5 hours trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm using refit to tunnel messages into Azure, into the API, and it's not very helpful with what it kicks back to you. And I need to look into how to improve that, to be honest. It's not very good at scenarios where the other person is sending back a different shape object, i.e. in the case of an error. Also, the API is case sensitive, so the JSON that I was sending wasn't in the right casing, and therefore it was just throwing argument null exceptions. It was a pain in the ass, but I figured it out. Got it sorted. I've got it generating webhooks, so it works. There's a bit of polish I need to do, a bit of spit and polish, and I need to tidy up some stuff that I haven't thought I'd finished, but I haven't. But yeah, so fucking productive. It works, which is the best part, but man, was it fucking tedious. And I've now got this huge list of checklist, like to-do list to fix, effectively. I'm like, I need to make sure I've got this, If I don't have either of those, if I don't have them, once I put them in, I need to put this into my Asana so I can do that later. I need to like roll in through the services, and then at the end of that, it's like do the service webhook. We're a long way. Every time I do stuff like this, it reminds me how far away I am from being finished, just how much time I need to get that to work. And I don't want to give it as much time as I used to give it, because, well, I do, to be honest with you, but I just find it difficult to do it at the moment. I've been going to bed kind of at a consistent time and waking up at a consistent time, and I feel like that's been working out for me. But like I say, I've been trying to get a bit more productive rather than a bit more effective with the time that I've got than what I'm currently doing. And kind of forcing myself into making more time. And I'm going to see how that works out for me. But yeah, it's been a long day. Right, thanks for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. Laura went to bed about like 45 minutes to an hour ago. I think she was annoyed with me because she was like, do you want a cup of tea? And I'm like, yeah, go on then. I'll be down in a minute, I'm just about to do something. And it was one of them, I'm just doing something that takes me 45 minutes. So, I think she got annoyed at that. So, I'm going to watch a YouTube video, chill out down here, eat the last one of my cookies before they go off, and I will catch you later.